Well, hello there, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. Alongside Dr. Wayne Anderson, author of The Habits of Health Transformational System. Dr. A, happy Wednesday to you.
Hey, thank you, David. And hopefully they used to call it hump day. I guess it's not really in the middle anymore, but hopefully everyone's staying safe and healthy. And always love doing this. We have a serious pandemic going on, and I know everybody's worried about it, and anything we can do to maybe give you a few tips and some exercises and just some stuff to make sure that, you're knowing and you're doing and you're becoming healthier here and in your physical health during this unsettled time.
Well, I know the days are kind of running together, and some people are referring to the days of the week as this day, that day, and the other day. But, typically we have some things in the middle of our week that have kind of maybe upset our apple cart or maybe have challenged us. And you have these 4 powerful questions that you talk about inside your Habits of Health Transformational System on how to remove emotional mismanagement. Would you walk us through these 4 questions and how they help us to move forward in our health?
Yeah, these are great questions because, one of the things we want to do during this period, we talked a little bit about this on Monday, but we want to start examining our thinking and our mind. The unexamined mind during a crisis basically will really go to automatic and emotional automaticity, and it could be a dangerous place in there with all the stuff going on. So it's important for us, basically, we did some exercises, some physical exercises, which actually changes our physiology and also kind of quells and calms because there's coherence between our physiology, our emotions, our feelings, and our thinking and how we actually show up to the world. So today we're talking a little bit about questions. These questions you can ask yourself. These questions you can also ask others when they're upset. So really, what it's about is when we get upset, we go into the drama triangle. We talked about that. We're a victim. We feel the world's happening to us. We're a villain. We want to blame it on someone else or blame it on ourselves. Or we want to be a hero. We want to avoid conflict. So we end up being the hero and coming in to save the day. None of those are good for us, and they're not good for the people we're working with, because what you're doing is you're enabling people. We're enabling people to the same behavior, especially as a hero, right? So with that, we want to start going above the line, being open, curious, and basically have wonder about what's going on so we can manage ourselves better. So if something happens and you feel inside of you, we talked on Monday about how your gut, during this time of anxiety and fear, our gut gets all churned up, right? So if something happens, we need to stop first and ask ourselves, what happened? This overlays what I've been talking about, and it's all throughout the Habits of Health Transformational System. And you can get the ebook, which is actually called of the same name, Stop, Challenge, and Choose. So normally when we sense, let's just do ourselves and then we'll do someone else. So let's say in ourselves, we watch something on TV. I had something happen earlier today where someone gave me news, where someone miscommunicated something, and then they made the wrong decision based on what they thought I wanted, and it was actually the opposite, right? So I could have got upset, and I started to feel a little bit of irritation because our schedules are crazy busy, but I decided instead, okay, what happened? And I started thinking, and I said, you know what? Maybe I didn't communicate as good as I can. So what did I expect to have happen? Well, this is what I thought was going to happen, but what was missing? And in most cases, it's that communication is the response we get, right? It's not what we say. We say stuff and then someone does something else. Well, what we communicate, as transmitters, we say something, but it's important that we get the feedback and become a receiver. So we make sure it's communicated and they did understand what it was. And then what's next? So if you think about it, all of a sudden, all the drama goes out of that, right? It's just, okay, I'm just doing an inspection. I'm inspecting what happened, what was missing, and what's next, right? What did I expect to have happen and what's next? And so that way, each time it becomes an opportunity to be above the line and be open, curious, and want to grow. How do I learn from this? So that's really important. That works for us. And then now we're with someone else. We have, I have my girls are here with me during the quarantine, and they have their friends are with them, and they're in school, although it's remote. And there'll be something going on, it happens at least once a day, where something upsets them. They get upset about something. So rather than sit there and go, oh, it's going to be okay, or, oh, they really should have done it, and making the school the villain or the computer the villain or whatever, basically, okay, describe what happened. Okay, so what was missing in that? What could have been better? And then, basically, first of all, what did you expect? Then what happened? And then what's next? How do we make it better? How do we take what went on? And we had a little discussion earlier today just to show you how trivia. Listen, I could sit here and act like I'm in an ivory tower giving advice, but it just happened at the kitchen sink for the umpteenth time. How we decided we were going to manage the food, cleaning the dishes in the sink. Okay, how trivial can it get? And rather than get upset, we started to get a little, there's some emotion getting in there. So they said, okay, let's go over this again. What happened? What happened here is there was a miscommunication. So instead of someone thinking, oh, it's my job, if you see stuff in the sink, you clean it, you wash it. Or if it's big, obviously, if you're doing it after dinner, you want to dishwash everything because it helps sterilize it and it makes everything safe. But if there's just a few dishes, rather than leaving them in the, we know that the sink, and I don't mean to get technical, but the sink is the dirtiest part in your house, other than maybe your toilets. And so with that, basically, we want to keep that clean. So we had a discussion. Okay, what happened? What do I expect? This is my house. You guys are here as my guests. It's your house too. But in this house, I'm the boss man. This is what we do. And I make sure, by the way, I don't just point my finger. I do the same thing. So that's about leadership. It's about leading from example. And these are important lessons, because if we tell our kids one thing and we're doing something different, then we're not congruent, right? And so it's important to do both. So anyway, yeah, it's just a nice thing to remember. Maybe put it up one more time just so we can go over it and so everybody can write it down. Just take a second and write this down. This is basically upset technology. It's a great way of basically just when something is going crazy, you have relationships and you're starting to get in an argument or something. Okay, let's break it down. Let's re-engage, stop, challenge, and choose. Let's quiet, deep breathing or whatever we take, drink some water, give yourself a little break between the stimulus and reaction, and then create a proper response. And then sit down or go over, whether it's on the phone or a Zoom or together, and say, okay, what's happening? What's going on that's got you or got me upset? What did I want to have happen? What did I expect, right? This is upset technology, because you get upset because you expected something different. You either expected something different, someone thwarted your intentions to do something. And so something happened where we stimulate our ego usually, and we get emotionally upset. And when we do, remember the frontal, we showed it on Monday, the frontal part of the brain shuts down. It never gets the information. And so we're just sitting there in an emotional state, reacting, which serves no good. When we have basically unwarranted emotions that are not being identified and understood, we take things that can be pure, like we may be sad about something, right? We saw something on TV that was sad, and that's emotion. We want to sense that and say, God, I feel sad, and let it go. You feel it maybe down in your throat. Usually we feel the emotion of sadness in our throat. We feel it, and then we say, okay, I feel sad because that's a sad thing. We saw something on TV. But then we let it go, and then we go back to our normal behavior. If we take that sadness and we start now building those cognitive emotive loops, right? Those thoughts and those emotions, and that continues on and on and on. What ends up happening, we go from sadness, which is a pure emotion, which we all want to experience. I mean, who doesn't like to watch a sad movie occasionally and get emotional? It's part of life. We want to feel that pure emotion. But if we start dwelling on it and ruminating on it, now it becomes depression. And it goes from a healthy emotion to an unhealthy emotion. So it's really important, David. That's why this technology, these 4 questions, can center, calm, take that emotional charged event away, and then look at it logically from our upper brain.
Yeah, and if for those of you that are watching this as a recording or as a live video, we'd like to have your comments. If you have used these powerful questions to remove emotional mismanagement, would you be willing to share with the community how it's working for you? Give us an example of what the outcome came about after you asked yourself these questions. And if you find yourself falling into the drama triangle, there's some great resources in the Habits of Health transformational system to help you to start shifting from reactive to being more responsive and being proactive. And Dr. A, there's lots of mental workouts that can be done in the Habits of Health transformational system. For those people that are not familiar with the transformational system, why is it so different than other programs or processes that other people are maybe familiar with when it comes to health and well-being?
Well, and it goes back to it's always kind of been my working thesis in life is that life is about integration. It's about taking all the things that affect you and putting them together. So, you know, I pioneered critical care. I was one of the first board certified critical care physicians in the country. And what I learned when I was in my training, I would see cardiologists, pulmonologists, nephrologists, you know, cardiologists taking care of a ICU patient's heart, the pulmonologist taking care of the lungs, the nephrologist taking care of the kidneys, the infectious disease person taking care of the potential for infection. And all these specialists would look kind of like the three blind men with the elephant, right? They would be touching their area and thinking that that's all that mattered. So, you know, obviously the one touching the side said, wow, this is a wall. The one touching the trunk says, wow, this is a hose. And the one touching one of the legs said, this is a tree trunk. And so why I went into critical care and helped pioneer that specialty was because when a person's really sick, and it's never been more important than it is right now, is that to take care of all the systems, everything integrated to help that person when things get out of balance. So we're maybe not doing absolutely what's best for the heart if it's really bad for the kidneys. And that's always the thing between the cardiologist want to get the blood pressure up, and then the nephrologist want to get the blood flow up in the kidneys to keep them safe. So the same thing here. What the Habits Health Transformational System is 2 decades of work of asking and answering as best I can, working with our coaches, our clients, patients, and physicians. How do we help people create sustainable change so they can dramatically alter their health and life and create optimal health and well-being? And so the Habits Health System covers all the key areas of your life. Rather than being like a diet enthusiast and just working on diet, or an exercise enthusiast just working on exercise to weight management, just as one of the many things we do, is basically we focus on all 6 things. Hey, sleep is critical. Most people don't even talk about it. In January, they don't have pictures of people sleeping better. No, they have pictures of whatever it is, tree bark from the lower Amazon, or, you know, blue-green algae from a volcano that's miraculously is going to get your weight off, which we all know is nonsense. I mean, the one I always like to think about, David, is the one where they have the electrodes they put on their belly, right, while they're drinking beer and having popcorn, and saying, this will help you get a firm stomach. And really we should do is take those and put those on our forehead and say, I am the stupidest human being for buying this, right? So the reality is habits make the difference. First, we make our habits, and then our habits make us. And so it's key that we really, in micro steps, start working on it. What a better time than now? Everything's disrupted. Most of your routines are disrupted. What a great time now to start learning things that can support long-term health and well-being.
Yeah, and I love the fact that with the simplicity of a simple app that you can load on your phone, and you can use this not to count calories, not to count steps in a day, but to track habits and to help you to use the stop, challenge, and choose principle that Dr. A just talked about in a very applicable manner. And you can start to develop these healthy habits, one healthy habit at a time, and they compound. We have a great community of other healthy-minded people that are encouraging one another. So if you would like to get more information about how to join this community, reach out to the person that shared this video with you or shared it on their wall, because they're likely part of our community and they can get you more access. So Dr. A, thank you so much for sharing with us, and we wish you all a very healthy and happy Wednesday.
Be safe, be healthy. God bless.